Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So we are from the fourth group. We'll be presenting about the American structuralism. So what is American structuralism? So American structuralism is a linguistic approach that studies the structure of language scientifically and objectively. So it doesn't focus on the self-meaning or subjectivity, but objectivity. It focuses on how language works based on the real data, not personal interpretation. Jadi American Structuralism ini adalah sebuah pendekatan linguistik yang mempelajari struktur bahasa secara saintifik dan juga secara objektif, berfokus bagaimana bahasa itu bekerja berdasar pada data yang asli, tidak pada interpretasi personal atau personal meaning. Untuk historical background-nya sendiri, American Structuralism appeared in early 20th century in United States. Sebagaimana namanya, American Structuralism, jadi kemunculannya ini pertama kali di awal abad 20 di United States of America. The goal is to describe the Native American language. Jadi pertama kali muncul, tujuannya adalah untuk menjelaskan, untuk mendescribe the Native American language atau bahasa Amerika yang asli, yakni pada masa itu adalah bahasa Inggris yang influenced by Saussures ideas from Europe. Jadi linguistic ini muncul di Eropa, teori dari the Saussure, dan di Amerika sendiri akhirnya mengambil ide dari situ dan mengembangkannya menjadi American Structuralism. The approach is practical, scientific, data-driven. Jadi pendekatannya itu bersifat praktikal, scientific, dan juga based on data. Untuk key figures-nya sendiri ada dua, yakni Franz Boas dan Leonard Bloomfield. Dua tokoh ini adalah orang-orang yang sangat berpengaruh dalam strukturalisme Amerika atau American Structuralism. Yang pertama di sebelah kiri dari presentasi adalah Franz Boas. Dia adalah seorang antropolog yang mempelopori studi mendalam terkait bahasa-bahasa penduduk di Amerika pada masa itu. Dan yang kedua dan yang paling dikenal di Amerika adalah Leonard Bloomfield. Bloomfield itu adalah orang yang merumuskan dan akhirnya mempopulerkan teori ini secara sistematis. Kemudian di slide selanjutnya ada the key features, main features atau fitur utama. Jadi ada beberapa fitur utama yang ada di teori ini. Yang pertama adalah sifatnya empiris. Empiris adalah bagaimana pendekatannya didasarkan pada ujaran atau ucapan yang nyata, tidak hanya berdasarkan kepada teori. Kemudian yang kedua adalah descriptive, explains the language as it is. Maksudnya adalah tujuannya adalah menjelaskan bahasa sebagaimana adanya, bukan bagaimana seharusnya. Kemudian yang ketiga adalah objective, so no judgment, just observation. Maksudnya adalah tidak ada penilaian, hanya observasi murni. Jadi tidak ada sifat subjektif yang diberikan oleh seseorang, tapi hanya bagaimana struktur bahasa itu apa adanya. Kemudian structural means views language as a system of parts. Maksudnya adalah bahasa itu bagaimana bahasa dipandang sebagai sistem yang terdiri dari bagian-bagian yang saling terhubung dan saling melengkapi. Yang terakhir adalah synchronic, studies one time period, not history. Maksudnya adalah studi ini berfokus pada satu periode waktu tertentu, tidak menelusuri sejarah dari bahasa itu sendiri. Jadi hanya berfokus pada bahasa pada masa diteliti itu, tidak melihat ke belakang bagaimana bahasa itu terbentuk dan lain sebagainya. Seperti itu. Untuk selanjutnya akan dijelaskan oleh partner kami.
Franz Boas and Linguistic Relativism. Franz Boas was a German anthropologist and linguist who became the father of modern anthropology in the US. He was born in Minden, Germany, and moved to America at the end of the 19th century. Paul's role as the father of linguistic anthropology in America. Paul as the pioneer of language and culture integration. Franz Paul was the first scholar to combine the study of language and culture anthropology. Before Paul, scholars usually studied language only from its structure, such as grammar or sounds. Paul argued that language cannot be separated from the culture of its speakers. Language is part of culture. The way people speak and choose words reflect how they live and think. For example, in Japan's culture, the keigo honorific system is used to show respect and social hierarchy. This shows that Japan's culture highly values politeness and respect for others. Paul became the pioneer of linguistic anthropology, which view language as key to understand culture. Language must be understood in the context of culture. Paul believed that language can only be understood within the culture context of its speakers. The meaning of words and expression depends on culture experiences and values. Language developed according to the needs and environments of their communities. For example, the Inuit Eskimo people have many words for snow, such as kanik and aput, because snow plays an important role in their daily life. In contrast, people living in tropical areas don't have such distinctions. This means that each language reflects the cultural reality of its speaker. Language reflects thought and cultural values. Both state that language reflects the way people think and cultural values of a society. The structure of a language shapes how its speakers perceive and categorize the world. The way a language expresses ideas can influence how people understand concepts like time, space, or relationship. For example, in English, time is expressed clearly through tense, past, present, and future. However, in the Hopi language spoken by Native American, there are no tenses like in English. However, in the Hopi, what I said before, this shows that the Hopi people view time as cyclical rather than linear, as in Western culture. Therefore, language is not only a tool of communication, but also a reflection of thought and culture. And then rejecting ethnocentric views. Franz Boas strongly rejected ethnocentric views, the deep belief that one on culture or language is superior to others. He challenged the common assumption of his time that European languages were more advanced or civilized. And for the next part is contrary to the assumption that European languages are more advanced. During both are many Western scholars believed that European languages were more developed, while the language of indigenous people were primitive. Post this proof this idea showing that non-European languages are just as expressive and capable of complex thought as European ones. For example, Native American language, thought and writing have rich vocabularies and complex grammatical system, showing that sophistication in language does not depend on writing. And then emphasizing that all languages are equally complex and logical. Paul argued that every language has its own internal logic and structure that perfectly fits the needs of its speaker. No language is simple or inferior. Inferences in vocabulary or grammar reflect cultural diversity, not level of intelligence. For example, some American languages use tone to distinguish meaning, while English uses word order. Both are equally complex but use different systems to express meaning. And then the basis for the concept of linguistic relativism. No language is superior. Both ideas laid the foundation of linguistic relativism, the belief that each language represents a unique worldview, and none is superior to another. This concept later influenced his students such as Edward Saphir and Benjamin Lee Rule. For example, is language organizes reality differently. For instance, some languages have multiple words for rice depending on its form, raw, cooked, or growing, showing culture in importance rather than linguistic simplicity. And then his idea of linguistic relativism. Definition: language is influence the way speakers think. His idea of linguistic relativism. Like I said before, definition of his idea is language influence the way speakers think and view the world. No language is superior. Each language reflects its own culture, and language and culture cannot be separate. And the next, the contributions to the study of Native American languages. Direct field research. Paul directly researched the language of indigenous tribes such as the Quaquiyoti or an Inuit, producing authentic and accurate linguistic data, like I said before. And then descriptive and objective approach. He described languages as they were without comparing them to European languages, emphasizing that each language had its own system and logic. And then the last, preservation of indigenous language. Paul documented the vocabulary, grammar, and folklore of indigenous tribes to preserve their cultural heritage and prevent language extinction. And now, move to the next material.
Okay, next Leonard Bloomfield 1887-1949 was a crucial founding father of modern linguistics, pioneering the field with his 1933 book Language and establishing the foundation of spoken language study. He emphasized a behavioristic analysis of empirical data, including the phoneme and morpheme, and made significant contributions to Indonesian, European, Indonesian, Austronesian, and Algonquian language through extensive field work and description. And contribution and structuralism. Segmentation role in language analysis. Bloomfield emphasized form and distribution of linguistic elements to construct context, pioneering the concept of linguistic distribution and segmentation techniques. American Structuralism. Bloomfield was a founder of American Structuralism, developing linguistic theories based on structural linguistics and behavioral psychology. And next, Bloomfield's monumental works in his book Language 1933. In Language, Bloomfield rejects speculative and approach and emphasized the scientific observation and analysis of objectively observable language data. He systematically divided language into analyzable structural units such as a phoneme, morphemes, and sentence. This book was a milestone in the field's language because it introduced a rigorous and comprehensive and descriptive methodology. Thank you. For the next, my friends, Izzul Haq.
And for the last topic is the phonemic and phonemic system of language. The phonetic and phoneme. The phonetic is a study to describe speech sounds. It is necessary to know what an individual sound is and how each sound differs from all others. Yaitu di mana mempelajari cara bunyi bahasa itu dihasilkan, disebarkan, dan didengar. Fokusnya bukan hanya pada aspek fisik, bukan makna. Fokusnya hanya pada aspek fisik, bukan maknanya. Jadi setiap variasi bunyi itu dianggap penting. Meski tidak membedakan makna, studying how language sounds are produced, transmitted, and heard. Focusing on the physical aspect of sound, not meaning. Every variation in sound is considered important, even if this does not distinguish meaning. And for the example is cute, sounds like cute. Di mana ini hanya berfokus pada bunyi itu bagaimana kata itu dihasilkan, bukan hanya pada maknanya. And the next is phoneme. Phoneme is studies that have the function of distinguishing meaning. Phonetics focuses on how sounds are pronounced and heard, not on their meaning. Jadi, di mana di sini itu mempelajari bahasa itu maknanya apa, bukan mereka itu mempelajari bagaimana kata itu diucapkan dan apa maknanya. Sebagai contoh di sini ada sheep. Nah, di huruf e, i, dan e ini itu namanya phoneme. Okay, for the next topic is relevance of phonetic for studies. The first one is understanding sound production and perception. In phonetic allow us to understand how language sounds are produced and perceived by humans. And this knowledge is important for speech therapy, phonetics training, and speech recognition. And the second is teaching pronunciation in foreign languages. Practice articulating foreign sounds, identify foreign difficulty, have teachers sounds different, such as thanks in language. For the example is Indonesian students often pronounce thing instead of thing. Indonesian students often pronounce thing instead of thing. Understanding phonetic helps to correct this. And for the last is relevance of phonemic studies. This phonemes will help researchers understand how sounds function to distinguish meaning. Without the concept of phonemes, we cannot explain why the words ship and ship have different meanings simply because one sound changes. Uh, for the second one is language system analysis. In foreign language teaching, phonemes are used to compare the sound system of the native language and the target language. The goal is to detect potential pronouns and error. And that's all for me. Thank you.